In Palestine, Israeli occupation forces detained 15 citizens during illegal raids launched by Tel Aviv in the occupied West Bank. Chile's government declared a curfew in 3 communities of Arauco in the south of the country after the murder of 3 Carabineros police officers. And Australian citizens marched through the country's cities in rejection of violence against women. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from TeleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Palestine, Israeli occupation forces detained 15 citizens during illegal raids launched by Tel Aviv in the occupied West Bank. Palestinian Prisoners Organization reported multiple arrests, mainly in the governorates of Turkan, Jenin, Jericho, and Jerusalem. Sources reported that Israeli forces entered the Palestinian territories with over 20 military vehicles, proceeded with raids without proper documentation, and interrogated residents. The organizations denounced that Israel is conducting incursions operations in the West Bank, during which it harasses citizens, threatens them and their families with arrests, destroys their homes, and beats them. The number of Palestinians killed by Israel in the Gaza Strip reaches more than 34,000 people, most of them women and children. The Ministry of Health in Gaza confirmed that after 204 days of the Israeli siege, 34,388 people have died and 77,437 have been wounded in the Gaza Strip. The Health Ministry assured that in the last 24 hours, the Tel Aviv forces committed 4 massacres in which at least 32 Palestinians were killed and 69 were wounded. According to health authorities, the Israeli forces obstruct roads and prevent the passage of emergency teams, putting the lives of injured people at risk. The Health Ministry warned of the spread of diseases and epidemics due to the overflowing of sewage and the accumulation of garbage in the streets. Israeli forces arrested at least 20 Palestinians during raids in the occupied West Bank. Local authorities reported that the Israeli occupation forces captured at least 1 woman, several minors and former prisoners in different areas of the West Bank, mainly in Ramallah, Hebron, Nablus, among other cities. According to organizations protecting Palestinian prisoners, the Israeli occupation forces frequently break into Palestinian homes under the pretext of capturing wanted individuals without having a search warrant. In this regard, sources detail that the Tel Aviv army has detained around 8,480 Palestinians in the West Bank and Jerusalem since October 7, 2023. In the United States, protests against Israeli genocide in Gaza reached some 60 universities with more than 500 people arrested in last days. The students walk out of their classes to demand a halt to investments in arms manufacturers to end their complicity in the U.S.-backed Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip that have killed more than 34,000 Palestinians. Unfazed by Columbia University's sanctioning of NYPD, crackdown in which at least 108 people were arrested Thursday for protesting Israel's war on Gaza. The students expressed their firmness in standing their demands, arguing that what is happening in the Palestinian territories is a crime for which they condemned U.S. involvement.
Guidelines, returning, come on in. We have these community guidelines, returning, come on in.
For their part, Palestinian citizens expressed their gratitude to the university students mobilized in the United States and Europe in support of the Palestinian cause against the Israeli genocide.
With the follow-up that we have done to the latest events, and the recent worthy initiative of the students of the Western universities and especially the University of Columbia, we have sent them our deep gratitude. We still expect more actions in this sense and more support. We have sent this thanks to the students of the world and the European students. The idea came up while following the news. We wanted to thank you for your initiative, so that your effort will not be in vain. We have the hope and the conviction that this initiative will be successful. We all know that success is the result of continuity and sincere work and effort. We still want more initiatives and more efforts, and we hope that they do not abandon us. We hope that everyone assumes their responsibility. Each person must take responsibility for their actions. This initiative was very worthy, and we hope that they will continue to be firm with their convictions. Our cause is a cause of long standing. It is the Palestinian cause that is still going on and needs more support.
The Columbia University Senate, the co-governing body of the university, calls for an investigation into the violation of students' rights. The body, comprised of faculty, students, and administrators, voted on Friday in favor of a resolution accusing the administration of violating the rights of students and professors. With 62 votes in favor, 14 against, and 3 abstentions, they call for an investigation into the administration of Nemat Shafiq, its president, for violating established protocols, undermining academic freedom, and jeopardizing free inquiry and violating the right to free process of detained students. More than 60 universities have taken up to fight to demand that the administration of President Joe Biden stops funding the genocide in Gaza. Israel's government rejected the U.S. call for further investigations into the common graves found in hospitals in Gaza Strip. The United States National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan urged that the death caused by Israel be thoroughly and transparently investigated. Israel assured in reply that it had carried out the appropriate investigations and ruled out any wrongdoing by its troops. In this regard, the leadership of the Program on Palestine and Palestinian-Israeli Affairs considered that asking the Zionist entity to investigate itself for its crime does not make sense. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. All the stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. Chile's government declared a curfew in 3 communities of Arauco in the south of the country after the murder of 3 Carabineros police officers. The Undersecretary of Interior, Manuel Monsalve, explained that the measure, already in course, starts at 12 a.m. local time, will last until 7 a.m. in the morning, and applies to the districts of Cañete, Contulmo, and Tirrua in the Bio region. This decision, which has, among other goals, the intensification of patrolling, was taken after the murder of 3 Carabineros of public order control in Cañete in the middle of an alleged ambush. The events took place in the early hours of this Saturday morning and have caused great commotion, given the violence used by the murderers. Argentina's former president Cristina Fernández denounced the government of Javier Milei for the application of neoliberal measures against the people. In her first public event since the new administration took office, Fernández criticized the current administration, stating that Argentines are being subjected to a useless sacrifice while the government tries to pursue a zero fiscal deficit. The also former vice president questioned some of the economic achievements recently exhibited by Javier Milei's government, denouncing the tax benefits that certain companies receive. She also expressed that Milei's actions, rather than anarcho-capitalism, seems to be anarcho-colonialism. In Argentina, farmers have staged a massive tractor rally protesting measures implemented by the administration of Javier Milei. The rally, organized by the Argentinian Agricultural Federation, gathered over 100 tractors and pickup trucks that drove through the streets of Sáenz Peña city in the Chaco province. The demonstrators are demanding more favorable loan terms. They say the new terms announced by the administration last March are impossible to meet. They say they would like to see loan government subsidized assistance and minimum requirements so that the producers in that area may be able to comply to loan terms. Uruguay's health ministry reported record number of dengue fever cases. This Friday, the entity confirmed over 800 cases of dengue fever, with 13 of which were self-infected, 10 imported, a figure that surpassed the record of cases registered by Aedes aegypti virus. The death of 3 people was confirmed due to the associated symptoms of the dengue disease. In this regard, the ministry recommended the use of repellent to empty or cover all clean water containers so that the transmission agent does not reproduce and spread. In Ecuador, the energy crisis has worsened following the announcement by the Colombian government to cut power lines that connect the two countries' grid amid the current drought. Ecuadorian Energy Minister Roberto Lucas said people operating both countries' grids are discussing a possible reconnection. He said his Colombian counterpart argued they had cut the lines to preserve the country's power supply because although Colombia no longer supplies Ecuador, the interconnected high-voltage lines absorb part of the power of the Colombian grid. The Ecuadorian minister said that in order to keep electricity frequency stable, it is in the interest of both countries to remain interconnected. The International Civil Aviation Organization accepted the complaint filed by Venezuela against Argentina after verifying its violations of the Chicago Convention regarding the hijacking and subsequent destruction of the TeleSUR plane. The organization notified the members of the Council of the receipt of the complaint after verifying its compliance with Article 2 of the Chicago Convention. The claim made by Venezuela alleged that since June 8, 2022, the Republic of Argentina has committed violations of several articles through the application of unilateral restrictive measures that are unlawful and discriminatory against the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. Venezuela alleged that such violations occurred in the context of the inconvenience suffered by the non-scheduled flights belonging to the Conviasa consortium and leased by it to the transport company TeleSUR. On Saturday, Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel attended the celebration of the 65th anniversary of the Casa de las Américas founding. During the ceremony, authorities awarded the Aide Santa María and Alejo Carpentier medals and the distinction for national culture. The day before, the 64th edition of the Casa de las Américas Literary Prize was also awarded. Argentina won in 3 of the 4 categories. Since its foundation on April 28, 1959 by Aide Santa María, Casa de las Américas has been a cultural beacon dedicated to the promotion and recognition of Latin American creators and thinkers in such diverse fields as literature, visual arts, music, theater, and social sciences. We have a final short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with TeleSUR. Final short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Australian citizens marched through the country's cities in rejection of violence against women. Demonstrations took place in the cities of Sydney, Hobart, Adelaide, among others. Demonstrators demand strict laws from the government to stop the wave of violence against women unleashed since the beginning of 2024, which has left at least 26 women murdered. According to statistics collected by women's advocacy organizations, a woman dies every 4 days, mainly as a result of domestic violence. The Australian authorities accompanied the demonstrations and warned that it is time to change the culture and make the necessary adjustments to stop gender-based violence. In Spain, people have taken to the streets to demonstrate in support of Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, who announced that he might be resigning because of a lawsuit against his wife, Begoña Gómez. Over 12,000 people gathered across the headquarters of the Spanish Socialist Workers' Party, chanting Pedro's stay. showing their support for the president of the Spanish government. The demonstrators were also demanding an end to the offensive by the opposition against the Prime Minister's wife on alleged corruption charges. Moreover, the Spanish Communist Party also called for a demonstration at its headquarters against Pedro Sánchez's decision to resign.
It should have been shorter. In a couple of days they should have solved it, because this way we are trembling. All of US socialists are trembling, because we don't want Pedro Sánchez to step down as head of the Spanish government. Since we don't want him to, 5 days of uncertainty are fatal.
Manos Limpias has no grounds for those charges. The right wing in this country is a sore loser. They have embezzled plenty, and they needed to smear the prime minister somehow. He has had enough. They have tightened the rope around his neck, so to speak.
In Russia, the 12th suspect in the attack on the Krakow City Hall concert venue was arrested. The Basmany Court of Moscow arrested Takiko Kurbanov, who for his alleged involvement in the attack on the Krakow City Hall Concert Center. The court ordered the suspect's arrest until May 22nd and indicated that Kurbanov is suspected of having financed the preparations of the attack and providing the terrorists with telecommunication equipment. In China, people are demanding a halt to the government's plan to extend the use of a nuclear power plant on southern island of Taiwan. Nearly 300 people demonstrated on the southern Chinese island of Taiwan against lawmakers who approve extending the life of Mashan nuclear power plant despite its January 2005 failure. The protesters say the island is prone to natural disasters like earthquakes and typhoons, which pose a high risk to nuclear power plants and people's life. At present, in Taiwan, there are 4 nuclear power plants, 2 being decommissioned, 1 in use, and another one is still under construction. All the works had been called off in 2014 after a series of protests against the use of nuclear energy.
Ten years ago, when we demonstrated against nuclear energy, we thought we had put a stop to it and that Taiwan would be free from nuclear power plants. It never crossed my mind that 10 years later, my son would be joining me in this same fight. In early April, we had a big earthquake with many aftershocks. In fact, we have had quite a few major earthquakes in Taiwan in the past. Given our geographical situation, having built that many nuclear power plants puts us at high risk.
In the United States on Friday, strong tornadoes hit the state of Nebraska, Iowa, and Texas. The National Weather Service confirmed having received 42 reports of tornadoes at around 6:30 a.m. local time. The tornado occurred on the outskirts of the city of Lincoln, Nebraska. It destroyed several homes and overturned a few vehicles. So far, only 3 people have been reported injured. According to the National Weather Service, they expect the occurrence of more tornadoes accompanied by severe wind gusts and hail. In Russia, heavy rains have flooded several streets in Moscow, the capital. According to meteorological experts, heavy rains and thunderstorms are expected through Saturday, and there could be wind gusts of up to 15 meters per second. Forecasters warn Moscow could get between 10 and 12 millimeters of rainfall through the day, that is 1/3 of a month average. According to local authorities, 300 brigades and about 290 units of Moscow's sewage network service teams are deployed throughout the city to deal with the situation. We continue with the world of sports. In this case, in Spain, Barça will host Valencia. The US company company's Olympic Stadium on Monday, April 29th, in the 33rd round of the EA Sports League. Barcelona trained on the eve of their Liga match against Valencia, with coach Xavi Hernandez saying that the club's goal is to finish second after Real Madrid extended their lead at the top of the table to 13 points with a win over Real Sociedad on Friday. The team has the desire to win tomorrow, he said, adding that he is excited to continue for another year. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.